Take a look at this conundrum. I think it is a conundrum. This is from one of PlayStation's co-CEOs in an article that was written by IGN, an interview that they did. They said, we're bringing our titles to the PC platform and we have a dual approach here on live service side. Hole said, we're releasing our titles simultaneously, so day and date, on PlayStation 5 and PC. But with our tentpole titles, our single-player, narrative-driven titles that are, as you saw in the presentation, the backbone of what PlayStation Studios has delivered in recent years and in our history, we take a more strategic approach. What is this strategic approach? They said, we introduce our great franchises to new audiences, and we're finding new audiences that are potentially going to be very interested in playing. For example, sequels on the PlayStation platform. We have high hopes that we're actually able to bring new players into PlayStation at large and into PlayStation platforms specifically. Actually, the same goes for the work that we do extending our great properties onto other media such as television, series, and film. PlayStation is trying to grow its platform. This is obvious. For the longest time, it was pretty much almost a no-brainer that people were more aware of what they wanted to play based on exclusivity. However, their approach to try to lure the PC platform players to their PlayStation ecosystem is not working. Why? This is the age where technology has broken loose. It's gone insane in the PC side. Many of you can look back and say, in terms of mobile phone technology, there was a time where it was very exciting and you were seeing really cool stuff on mobile phones when Bluetooth and all of that, and phones were able to, carry more memory, take better pictures, and innovation was going on in that side. Now, mostly a lot of stuff has peaked, to be honest. Phones are now starting to become more like, your palm tops and computers from back in the day. But you remember that time if you were paying attention, right? You look at the newest phone and you saw functionality that those phones had and you were like, that's so cool. That's what a resurgence of is going on in the PC hardware side. In fact, right now we're talking about Intel bringing a $250 1440p graphics card to the market. It is scarce right now. That's usually how good technology is. It's sold out. Many people can't get their hands on them. However, it's a good thing and a good signal because the other players in the game are taking note and are going to have to respond accordingly. Intel looked at the 1440p market and saw that there is a huge excitement for it. Why? Monitors, CPUs, and many GPUs can support that SKU. And so you're seeing this happen. And many people who are already dialed into PC, they're not going to go back to a console to achieve what? I mean, think about it. They had to make 50 presentations to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro and what it's capable of doing, when the moment you get your hands on any of these PC components, you can slap all your games on it or wait for Hardware Unboxed, Gamers Nexus, and the others that actually are, benefiting from it to do game testing extensively and fill up all your charts with data. And all you can do is go there and pick and choose and say, okay, my favorite game, right? What FPS is it going to basically churn out with this CPU or GPU? And you're there. So all that being said, I strongly believe that Herman Holst and Mr. Nishino are in a very interesting place because this new market from the PC side is not coming to the PlayStation platform as much as they would like. In fact, what we're seeing, if you go and look at, say, SteamDB and look at, say, the growth of the PC platform, it's the opposite that's actually happening as more and more people are moving onto that platform to enjoy and play their own games. This is the reality that we have right now. So I don't necessarily know what they intend to do with this. And so them bringing their games to the PC platform, as the PC platform is growing, while they're telling us another thing here in their article, to me seems like they've only revealed one side of the strategy, which is we want to be able to leverage sales in this growing market. That's the hidden part that they haven't said anything about. I can understand them trying to maybe want to lure people to say, okay, if you play a game, the sequel, you can only play it day one on PlayStation 5. I can see where that is, a thing. It's a tall order. It's a very long shot, but I see as a possibility. However, when you think about it at the end of the day, there is another driving force that's not being mentioned here. This is the one that most of us are now aware of. in terms of this whole conversation, which is, when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, gamers are not necessarily all gung-ho with all of these, so-called single player games, these tentpole games that they're making. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. Don't hide your eyes. Don't hide my Piscatella's data from Circana, where we get to see each week what gamers are playing. So again, Mr. Nishino and Mr. Host, yes, they have a strong plan, but that plan is a very tall order. And I think when you juxtapose what Xbox is doing, you can almost tell that at some point, PlayStation is on a gradual move to that same day and date on PC, while understanding that whoever wants to buy a PlayStation console is going to buy a PlayStation console. You see, we already went through the tantrum era of PlayStation players saying that their game going to PlayStation is a freaking lie, dragging a guerrilla dev, while even some Xbox players at the time were even championing that, okay, it's good for other people to go ahead and play and enjoy the game, right? We've already gone through that era. So again, a lot of the people who made it through and went to the PS5, many of them are going to stay on PlayStation, and they're going to eventually understand that. Xbox just understood its predicament much faster. Because right now, where do you think new PlayStation 5 players are going to come from? It's PS4. There's still a huge chunk of PlayStation 4 players that are still, on PS4 and are still making their way to the PS5. But once you get to that peak number, if, say, some of them don't move from PS4 to PC, which, again, that's another trend in terms of the migration, then PlayStation's own console sales are at risk of being, in a sense, peaked. Another force that's also pushing against this too is the sheer number of games that are available for people to play. Let's go ahead and look at that number. We are now at 18,597 games in the month of December. If you look very carefully, just last year, the number was 14,316. Now we are 18,597. That is a significant number of games, and it's not something that you can just, in a sense, ignore. So these market forces are pushing and pressing against the console, while at the same time, people are looking and getting excited for technology in PC and seeing how their value for their money can actually get them more if they would just basically move platforms. And then they've already basically taken the signal that, hey man, if you're willing to bring your game to PC to meet us, then there must be something that you want from us, even while their fans on those particular platforms were kicking and screaming and complaining about that being a thing. So the question now is PlayStation going to sit there, wait to eat losses in the name of trying to wait for these PC players to come to its platform, while its own players are playing Call of Duty and Fortnite and all these other games and not necessarily buying their single player games? Or are they going to move to a PC day one strategy quietly when their own audiences are not really paying attention, or now that they've conditioned their own PlayStation fans to basically be okay with it? This is a very interesting question. And you know what? I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They've already conditioned their own PlayStation audience, and they've done a very good experiment this year. This year in 2024, they launched 4 non-live service games day one on PC. Look at it. They said day and date for the live service games, right? We're releasing our titles simultaneously on the live service side. But with our tentpole titles, that's one category. Our single player narrative driven titles that are, as you saw in the presentation, the backbone of what PlayStation Studios has delivered in recent years. And in our history, we take a more strategic approach. But apparently that strategic approach seems to be on a case-by-case basis where they bring their games to PC. Lost Soul Aside is the 5th game. And so they've launched 4 games this year. 2 of them were not live service games. And they announced 1 more non-live service game coming out next year. It seems to me that they have basically gone ahead to change their strategy quietly. And so when you see one big game or one more big game, because we had Until Dawn Remake, that's a big game. When you see one more big game show up on PC, it's not necessarily going to be shocking to you, because they were doing it little by little, and then they closed the gap of the tentpole games even coming to PC. So the strategy is a shifting strategy that's, in a sense, when the convenience calls for it. I strongly believe that more and more day and date is going to become a normalized thing for PlayStation to PC as these market factors continue to become much more stronger on the gaming market, that at this point, PlayStation just needs to admit that in order for you to be able to sell consoles or a platform, you have to be able to give inherent value to your users. And because technology is so competitive and a lot of people are giving some really cool stuff, you can't get away with just doing whatever the heck it is you want to do. That's not going to work anymore. That's not going to work anymore. Talk to me in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.